What's going on with the mainstream press, with the establishment left, with Antifa, with the violence, it's not okay. A man with a gun and a knife was just arrested outside Justice Kavanaugh's home, saying that he intended to kill the Supreme Court justice. Yo, y'all need to stop. But they won't stop. When protesters showed up to the homes of Supreme Court justices, I said, arrest them. And left-wing psychopaths wrote smear pieces, and Occupy activists were like, what is the matter with you, Tim? It is illegal to protest at a judge's home with the intent of swaying their opinions, the court rulings, to interfere in justice. And I said arrest them, not because I'm like people shouldn't protest. I'm saying you want it. You want nonviolent civil disobedience? Fine. You get arrested for it. At the bare minimum, we need to set the threshold. And I called this. I said that if you do not arrest these people, they will take it to the next step. And that's what's happened. Now we have to deal with this. I feel for Kavanaugh. They have tried to destroy this man's private life. They have in many ways done it. From the time he was nominated, this guy, who I don't even agree with on a lot of his rulings. That's not the point. How are we supposed to have a functioning system of governance when they lie about this guy? The insane stories in the press. And now this. Absolutely insane. NBC News reports law enforcement officials say an armed man was arrested overnight near the home of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. Officials say the man was armed with a handgun, a knife, and pepper spray. He was stopped near, but not at the justice's house. And when police detained him, he said he was there to kill Kavanaugh. Here's the question. Was this an attempt to kill him? I don't know. The police stopped him before he got to his house. But this guy, I think it's fair to say, made an attempt. And I'll tell you why. I mean, obviously, there's going to be a line where people say, was it an attempt or not? When I announced that I was going to play a show in Nashville, we had a death threat. And a lot of people said attempted assassination of Tim Pool. And I was like, come on. But we actually had a guy show up. Security freaked out and they shut the event down. I think it's fair to say an attempt was being made. In this instance, that's exactly what it was. A guy had the gun. He had a knife. He had burglar's tools. I saw or one report said he had burglar's tools. But he got stopped before he could make it there. He was trying to do it. They say the arrest was first reported by the Washington Post. The court confirmed some of the details in a brief statement. At approximately 1:50 a.m. today, a man was arrested near Justice Kavanaugh's residence. The man was armed and made threats against Kavanaugh. He was transported to Montgomery County Police 2nd District. Yo, I live right by here. Officials say the man was from out of state and arrived by taxi. Kavanaugh lives in suburban Chevy Chase, Maryland. His home was also the scene of protests after the leak. This needs to stop, man. But you know what? The thing is, it's not conservatives doing it. What do we have? We have January 6th. And that's all people know about. Now they're going to do these dumb primetime hearings that no one's going to care about. Blech. You know what I care about? I care about gas prices. I care about not having to deal with this. Man, security issues are nightmarish. We here at Timcast are armed to the teeth. And I look forward to the Supreme Court's ruling on constitutional carry. Maybe, Brett Kavanaugh, hear my plea. You guys are looking over, you are going to be issuing a ruling on New York's gun access lawsuit. Because New York denies people the right to keep and bear arms. Y'all can issue a broad ruling. Issue a broad opinion and say any requirement for a permit to conceal carry is a violation of the Second Amendment. And then we will have to worry a lot less about this. This guy was armed. They stopped him and he expressed his intent and he was arrested. This guy, here's what I want to see. I want to be able to defend myself where I live. When I go out, we've already had the conversations about security. What happens if we're getting death threats? People drive by all the time. We've had people try and break in. We've had people break in. And fortunately in Maryland, we are allowed to defend ourselves, and we do have security, armed security. I'm not going to say too much about our security. But what if I want to go to the bank? I have to do this ridiculous jumping through. Now, that's why we're moving to West Virginia. I already live there, but the business itself, completely relocating everything. We've already relocated a bunch of our employees. We're setting up a new property. Why? Because they have constitutional carry. This has got to stop. I don't want to live this way. And it's fascinating because right now they're screaming gun control over and over again. Maryland already has gun control. It is already illegal to carry a weapon in public in Maryland. It didn't stop this guy. Your laws are stupid. Your proposals are insane. They make no sense. If you want to go on TV and defend all of this stuff, then we get to defend ourselves. Take a look. This is absolutely insane. Let me show you. Let me show you some of these stories. Mother Jones. Protesters showed up outside Kavanaugh's home and the Tone police lost its mind. Asking for civility in the face of systemic violence is playing right into the oppressor's hands. This is your fault. Ariana Coghill of Mother Jones. It's not just her. Here's Vogue. Emma Spector. Inconveniencing Brett Kavanaugh right now is good, actually. Here's my favorite. Let me play for you this clip from MSNBC real quick.
Several law enforcement officials that a man was arrested overnight near the home of Supreme Court Justice Brett Kavanaugh. He was armed with a gun, a knife, and pepper spray and told authorities that he was there to kill the justice. Now, he was not arrested at the home of the justice. He was arrested nearby. Law enforcement officials tell us that the man actually arrived by taxi and was seen by police and other law enforcement officials that were near the justice's house. So he was arrested. He was taken into custody. It's a little unclear to us right now whether this case is going to be handled by the Maryland state authorities or by the U.S. Marshal Service, which provides security for Supreme Court justices as well as other federal judges, or by the FBI. But the man is said to be from California. He had told the police when he was arrested that he wanted to do this. But that's just about all we know right now.
I'll tell you one thing you guys should know. You guys ran this story from MSNBC.com. Peaceful protests outside Supreme Court justices' homes is good. The Supreme Court should not be considered immune to citizen feedback. Now, of course, you may be saying, Tim, peaceful protests are a good thing. I agree. Peaceful protests are a good thing, except when those protesters are publishing the home addresses of the Supreme Court justices. This is just wrong. I want to give a shout out to several leftist publications, or I should say maybe I only have one. Here we go. I saw this story from The Independent. Armed man who made threats to Brett Kavanaugh arrested near Supreme Court justice home. Some suspects come as the nation's high court considers several cases. I think this may be the one where they mentioned burglars' tools or something. Yep. A suspect with at least one weapon and burglary tools. This guy was trying to kill Brett Kavanaugh. He just got stopped. Thank heavens. This is what I said. I said, if you allow these protests in violation of the law, they will take it to the next level. You need to set that barrier as we respect a peaceful protest. It is against the law. Slap on the wrist, take you away, you go home. That's what they used to do. Now they're like, it's fine. So this guy's like, okay, he goes and takes it to the next level. Armed threats, man. I just can't. I'm sick of this stuff. But let me give a shout out to The Independent. Take a look at this. They ran this piece, and The Independent's leftist. Why protesting the threat to abortion rights outside Kavanaugh's home is wrong. No one should back down from fighting for women's rights, but I've seen what can happen when the political and personal get mixed up. This is from Skylar Baker Jordan, Tennessee. Good on you, sir. He says, I just hung up with a pro-life activist. I am pro-choice. Yeah, we had a civil, enjoyable conversation about what we can do to promote health and welfare of expectant mothers, especially those with unexpected and unwanted pregnancies. He goes on to mention the leaked draft, of course, and says, yet I cannot celebrate these protests with the same relish as many of my fellow travelers on the left. I lament the fact that we've become so uncivil that someone's private home is being protested. For me, it brings back memories of another time, another place, and the political violence these protests foretold. Bravo, good sir. Absolute shout out and respect to Skylar Baker Jordan, a pro-choice writer at The Independent, a progressive publication, who outright said no because of what this could bring. He says, cast your minds back to December 2015. I was a freelance political writer focusing on British politics. Stella Creasy, the MP for my adopted home of Walthamstow in East London, was casting her vote on whether the UK should engage in a military action in Syria. A group of protesters set off from a local mosque and headed to her constituency office. A completely reasonable action for those who opposed the military engagement. However, in the confusion of social media, reports broke out. The protesters were outside her home. They were not. But the confusion was enough to prompt hard left Labour MP Diane Abbott to tweet out sympathetically that protesting outside someone's home is a step too far. He says these incidents are all different. And obviously protesting outside of someone's home is not the same as murdering them in broad daylight. Here's what he says. The debate over Syria was a debate over Britain's place in the world. Among other things, the debate would explode the following year when the UK voted to leave the EU. In the midst of that referendum, Jo Cox, a Labour member of Parliament and a Remainer, was murdered by a far-right extremist. She was leaving a surgery, the British equivalent of a town hall, not unlike former Congresswoman Gabby Giffords when she was shot in the head in 2011. So too was Sir David Amis, a Conservative MP, when he was murdered by an Islamic State terrorist last year. I have tremendous respect for this piece. It's not just about the right or the left. People on the left and the right have been attacked. He points that out and says, we got to separate this. He is right. When the Independent reported on this, again, a progressive left-leaning publication, they did not issue a moral stance on that. Here we go. The Washington Post editorial board. Leave the justices alone at home. Bravo, guys. Look, I think these publications are often very bad. I think they lie, cheat, and steal. The Washington Post. But we can all agree. Let's stop right now. The politics, the fighting, the chaos. We don't go to people's houses like this. Now I'm pretty biased. I've had people come to my house. I'm not okay with it. And the last thing I want to see is a person being shot at my house. We don't want it to happen. That's why we say, do not come here. We have been swatted 8 times. We've had the bomb squad show up. We've moved. You may have noticed I have a new set. Yeah, we've moved. I'm not going to say too much about our security, but it's an issue. So when I see people showing up and protesting at people's homes, I'm like, no. There was an incident that occurred with a good friend of mine and editor-in-chief at Timcast, Cassandra Fairbanks. When people showed up to her home in the middle of the night, banging on the windows, screaming and launching fireworks. This was in it was in the D.C. metro area. Some far-left lunatics tried denying it happened. But we've seen the writing on the wall, and we know where this goes. A man just tried to kill Brett Kavanaugh. He was stopped by police before making it to his home. But it's reported he had a gun, a knife, pepper spray, and burglary tools. He was trying to do it. When are we going to call this out on the left? When is the left going to call this out? When are they going to say enough? Beckett Adams tweets, we've spent thousands of hours worrying about right-wing radicalism, violence, etc. since the SCOTUS leak. There have been around 12 attacks on crisis pregnancy centers and a supposed assassination attempt on a SCOTUS justice. Probably time we dedicate equal time to left-wing radicalism. In Maryland, they went to a pregnancy center, far-left extremists, and attacked it and spray painted it, damaged it, vandalized it. You know what these centers do? If you're a woman and you're pregnant and you go there, they'll give you diapers, a playpen, they'll give you formula because they're just trying to help expectant mothers. Now, part of it is they don't want women to get abortions. I don't care if that's the reason or not. They're helping mothers. Now, to many of these people, the idea is if a woman is stressed and unable to provide for a child, she may get an abortion. How do we prevent that? Make sure she has everything she needs to start with raising this child. It is expensive and difficult to raise kids. That's true. Newborn babies are expensive, man. And so these centers are just trying to help. They're not doing anything else but providing resources to typically impoverished mothers. And we saw just recently, just the other night, another pregnancy center was firebombed. I believe it's the second or third. Around 12 attacks, Beckett Adams says. He says right-wing extremism is definitely real. But they definitely don't have a corner on the market. If we worry only about one and all but ignore the other, we are saying something about ourselves. He says, in fact, if I recall correctly, when a group of left-wing lunatics laid siege to a federal courthouse, we didn't hear much about the growing threat of left-wing radicalism. Instead, the rioters were given a soft glow fashion spread in the Washington Post. Look at this. They celebrated what they were doing. These people were throwing bricks and fire bombs at a federal building. It's got to stop. This is why I say civil war. And a lot of people don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear it. You know what I'd love? I'd love to make videos about how movies are dumb. You know, several years ago, I was like, did you guys see the latest movie? Oh, the movie. We did a review on Sonic the Hedgehog. We loved that one, by the way. That was good. And Sonic 2 was also very good. Jim Carrey did an amazing job. I don't like his personal politics, but man, he was excellent as Robot. If you haven't seen the second Sonic the Hedgehog movie, Jim Carrey nails it. You see, that's what I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about some dude just tried to kill a justice. I suppose, man. Good times make weak men. Weak men make hard times. And we got a whole lot of weak men. That's basically it. You know, we're talking with Seamus on Timcast IRL, and he mentions that women are adopting masculine roles because men have adopted a child's role. Men are not behaving strong. Men are not being leaders. Too many millennial men are children. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I'm better than any of them. You know, but too many men just aren't being good leaders. They are not being strong. And so we are getting weak. We are getting weak men. We have weak men. And this is making hard times. That's how the saying goes. We've got to stand up against this. And I think we're starting to see this. I mentioned this in the previous segment I did, but 11 were indicted by a grand jury on 11 Antifa have been indicted. Times of San Diego. Prosecutors say 29 felony counts have been filed against the defendants, including conspiracy to commit a riot, use of tear gas, and assault with a deadly weapon, stemming from the January 9th, 2021 clash at Patriot March. I can't believe it's been a year and a half to get this done. 10 of the 11 defendants pleaded not guilty, while another defendant is set to be arraigned later this month. I don't think they're going to get in trouble. I mean, they're in trouble. I don't think there's going to be justice. I think they're going to be let go. Granted, San Diego is more conservative in many ways, so we'll see. It's about time everybody came out and condemned any media organization propping this up. Remember the punch a Nazi thing, where everyone cheered when Richard Spencer got punched? Well, they said he has bad politics, so he's deserving of it. Those that were smart, those of us, said, we do not tolerate political violence, no matter who it comes from, because we know what this will lead to. Do you think that declaring you're going to be violent against a group of people, regardless of their ideology, you think that results in peace? Or do you think they'll then say, okay, you've declared war? And the last thing we want is anyone of any ideology, good, bad, or otherwise, to be getting armed and doing things like this. The goal here is to terrify Brett Kavanaugh, to make him feel unsafe. That's why they went to his house. That's why this man did what he did. They want him to rule, to uphold Roe v. Wade and Casey. Well, there's something else you can do. You can tell them no, Supreme Court justices. You can say, you know what? Constitutional carry nationwide. You want to show up to my house? Going to their homes is wrong. Intimidating is wrong. I'll just say this. I hope the Supreme Court justices actually just make the appropriate legal decisions, whatever they may be. I don't agree with them, obviously, but I'm not a lawyer. I'm not a justice. And we have to respect the system, although we don't have to respect everything about it. We have to respect that we are agreeing to play by a certain set of rules. We want to change those rules, then you can change the rules. But you better do it through due process. I don't want the Supreme Court justices to just rule in favor. Let me be completely clear and honest. I don't want the Supreme Court justices to rule. I don't want them to rule for me. I want them to rule for what's right. I want them to look in their hearts and say, this is what we need to do. And then so be it. And sometimes those rulings will change and interpretations and opinions will change. And that just means that we have to strive to make the system better. That's what I love about America. You can. You know, as much as people are really disheartened, look at the Mises Caucus taking over the Libertarian Party. Not saying the Libertarian Party is going to win anything, but changes can happen. Boy, were they upset about that. Look at the Republican Party. The populist America First nationalist types growing and taking more control. It is possible. You just have to believe. You need to inspire young people. You need to rally. And you need to encourage them to join you to make these changes. And it is possible. This ain't it. I'll say one thing. This is one of the worst things possible for the left, and that's what they deserve. If you are encouraging this and people go out and do it, then you deserve to be smeared and besmirched for what you have promoted, for what you have encouraged. I'm glad to hear everybody's okay. I'm glad the police did their job, and that's what the police are for, right? I'm glad to see several Antifa are getting indicted. Let's make sure we hold all of these people promoting violence, regardless of their political affiliation, to account. And you know what? The left is doing it in spades. So let's tell them enough. You reap what you sow. I hope the American people can see this for what it is. I'll leave it there. Next segment's coming up at 4 p.m. over at youtube.com/Timcast. Thanks for hanging out, and I'll see you all then.